What's going on, everyone? Happy Saturday to everyone. Time now for the Saturday weather update for Saturday, July 15th, 2023. Taking a look at the national satellite picture, you can see multiple things. One, we do have wildfire smoke again that has come into play in the midsections of the country, in the northern plains, from Wyoming, Montana, right on down into Illinois. Ahead of that, we do have another weather system, which is ongoing. You can see there's this disturbance, this front, that is slowly moving east, and it's going to get us into some trouble over the next couple of days. It's going to cause some flash flooding concerns in the northeast. In fact, there's already some flash flooding concerns. If I show you look here at a radar scope. Look what's going on in New Jersey right now. There's quite a bit of training going on. You have these outflow boundaries. One's moving this way, one's moving that way. They're moving in all different directions. And when you get that, you have these cells that just continuously pop. Sometimes they train, sometimes they sit over an area. And this is going to be the theme not only today, but into tomorrow as well. And we're super concerned about the I-95 corridor tomorrow from Philadelphia on up into Maine. Taking a look here at the National Hazards Map, you can see there is just a lot of stuff going on this weekend. We have the flash flooding concerns in the Northeast. Already some flash flood warnings. One up in Maine, one in Massachusetts. But then we have this other issue. And you see the oranges, you see the purples. Extreme heat. It continues in the West. It continues in the South, even down in Florida. I mean, it is just extremely hot. Heat index is well over 100. I'll tell you what, even here in Philadelphia today, we're not including any of this. The heat index on my Davis just a little bit ago was 101 degrees, coupled with a 74-degree dew point. So this is just insanity. I mean, you don't even have to be in the South. Even places that are not in the heat advisories, it's very hot this summer. This is just unusually hot summer, but that's not the case for everyone, and some places may actually go below average soon. Yeah, I'll explain that on a little bit. Let's take a look at air quality. That's another thing we do have to talk about because there are some health concerns with air quality. Number one, you do have just generally poor air quality in the Northeast and Mid-Atlantic today. Like I said, high heat indexes, high dew points anywhere from 70 to even 76 degrees I've seen on a couple weather stations. And then you come up here into the Midwest, and air quality's starting to get bad. Chicago, your air quality's about to go downhill. That wildfire smoke has come back into play. Then we want to take a look at Los Angeles. Poor air quality there as well because, again, extreme heat to blame for that. Here's the current radar picture. We do have the thunderstorms, which are ongoing in southeast Pennsylvania. We have some up in Maine. Then we have this bigger system that's just back off to the west. And that's what we have to watch overnight into much of the day tomorrow for the Northeast. It's going to cause flash flooding concerns. We also have, let's take a look at the Storm Prediction Center here for today. We can see there is a slight risk across portions of New Mexico and Texas of severe weather today, but everywhere else, any threat is just marginal. We're not terribly concerned about the severe weather threat today. Could there be a few severe thunderstorms in the Northeast today or tomorrow? Yes, it's possible, but there, the biggest threat is flash flooding. And you can see here, take a look back across Kansas tomorrow. There's a slight risk there. Again, we're not terribly concerned about that either. And Northeast, marginal risk. Let's take a look at the Weather Prediction Center. This is where we are concerned. And we have a lot of little slight risk areas today. We also have this big marginal area surrounding it. And here's what happens on day 2 outlook. There is already a moderate risk from just north of Philadelphia all the way up into almost central Maine. And yes, parts of Vermont is in that as well. Flash flooding is going to be a concern tomorrow. I mean, you can see here the entire state of Connecticut, almost the entire state of Rhode Island, much of Massachusetts, New Hampshire, New York. If you're traveling that 95 corridor tomorrow between, let's just say Trenton, New Jersey, on up to Portland, Maine, you want to be extremely careful. And quite frankly, I think this moderate risk will probably get expanded southward a little bit more. I think it should go back into Maryland. That's just my thinking, because some modeling does suggest South Jersey could be a potential jackpot, or southeast Pennsylvania. We'll have to watch how this unfolds. It's convection. it can do unexpected things. Remember last Sunday? Last Sunday ended up being worse than expected in parts of Pennsylvania. All right, we do have some tropical action to talk about. Tropical storm Don has formed, and it is now 45-mile-per-hour winds. It's moving northwest at 9 miles per hour, but look what's going to happen here. Originally started right about here where I'm pointing. Now it's going to go up. It's going to go around. And it's almost going to do like a little loop type thing. So it's going to be around for a while. Will it become anything of a threat to the United States? As of right now, no, but storms that end up being around for a while, who knows what they will do. Sometimes they get caught under a ridge. Sometimes they could miss a trough. Maybe a trough kicks it out. Here's what it looks like on satellite. Here it is right here. Not the most organized storm in the world. It's expected to remain a tropical storm. At this point, it does not look like it will become a hurricane, but you know, it's the tropics. It's something we have to mention and talk about. Let's take a look at the HRRR model. This is much more important. Okay, here's the national picture here. You can see some storms do get going back across portions of Texas. And the HRRR model does try and get a squall line going tonight, overnight tonight. That's another issue with this setup. Some models show the flash flood threat in the Northeast, at least in Pennsylvania. Gets going overnight and will already be ongoing tomorrow. We saw an instance similar to this just yesterday morning. A severe thunderstorm cell formed over Pennsylvania, Philadelphia area, and blossomed into a bigger storm, and it went northeast and made it all the way just to about Maine before dying. It became a whole cluster. It did cause a few issues, and behind it, an old boundary was left behind and training set up behind it. We'll have to see if something similar to that happens this go around. There'll already be an established system ongoing. This is a pretty potent system. And watch what happens here. I do have to go to the northeast view. This is very important. You can see here, look what happens. Clusters of thunderstorms get going well overnight tonight. And you can see it continues into the day tomorrow. There's a second cluster around midday. But look at South Jersey, what happens here. It just continues to train there for a while. Then you even have a few more storms behind us in the evening. Let's take a look at the precipitation amounts that the HRRR is showing. See? Look at this. These are 3 to 5, even isolated 6-inch amounts. I think we're going to see the moderate risk come back southwest. Not only is at surface showing it, and that's a problem. The models have been underdone at surface with convection in some areas. But not only is this coming up at surface, you have to understand the dew points are extremely high for one, and the precipitable water values are also really high. So if you're anywhere from northeast Maryland up to Maine, just be cautious if you have to drive around. Thunderstorms will be ongoing. Flash flooding, you can see here's another spot up here in Maine where there's isolated 6+ inches. I think that's just going to happen tomorrow. Here's the RGEM model. You can see here. You have these widespread swaths of 2 to 4 inches of rain, even isolated 5-inch amounts, and that's going to get us into trouble. The ground is already saturated in the northeast. It's not going to take a lot for flash flooding, as I showed you. New Jersey, for example. This is already ongoing. The models completely underdid today's activity, so that's a bad sign for tomorrow, and we'll have to see how it unfolds. Let's take a look at temperatures for the rest of the country. Very important that we do this. Here's the 12Z European model, and unfortunately, you're not going to like what you see here if you're in the south. Look at this. These hot temperatures continue. Is that 116 near California, Arizona border? Yes, that is. That's not factoring in the heat index. And you can see day after day after day. But as we look up into the Great Lakes, not terribly hot. You actually go below average. Highs upper 60s to near 70. Yes, that's actually possible for you. And then as we head into Wednesday, it does warm up a little bit. But look at the south. Extreme heat. Please limit your time outdoors if you're in the south. Dehydration, heat strokes, heat-related illnesses in general. It's a real problem. The EMS, I feel bad for the EMS guys. You're going to be really busy. I can tell here in Philly, the heat is definitely causing an increase in EMS calls because the fire department tweets them out all the time, and it's up right now. It's way up. And maybe there's other things going on, but heat-related illness, it's going to be a problem. This is dangerous, life-threatening heat, as will the flash floods tomorrow. that could be life-threatening as well in the Northeast, in places that are just super saturated. And, do I need to continue this on? It's just going to continue day after day. But there is some good news here. Look, as we head into next weekend, the Northeast, you actually catch a break. Look at this. Highs in the upper 70s, low 80s. If that were to happen, some places like Pennsylvania, believe it or not, because of the change in temperatures, the 30-year averages and 50-year averages, whatever, because of that, that would actually be below average. So we will take that if we can get it next weekend. We'll have to see if it happens. Look at next Sunday. Highs in the mid-70s to maybe near 80. But down in the south, the heat's just going to continue. And unfortunately, that heat really starts to build northward. Eventually, that is going to push east, maybe in the following week. We'll have to watch. Let's take a look at some precipitation totals from the Weather Prediction Center. Here you go here. You have 3 to 5 inches widespread being forecasted in the Northeast. That's what these reds are. And surrounding that, you have widespread 1 to 3 inches, localized 4 inches. So yes, you have a lot of precipitation coming in the Northeast. Rest of the country, for this time of year, it's normal to be dry on the West Coast. Florida, you do get some precipitation over the next 7 days. Texas, it's confined to the northern half of the state. So let's take a look at this real quickly. Here's a drought picture. Yeah, southern Texas, that drought's going to get a lot worse. Places like Pennsylvania, I think eventually we're going to wipe that off there. I don't understand why we can't, because it is a wet pattern, but it is what it is. Taking a look at the 6 to 10 day temperature outlook, and you can see on that it is below average in the Midwest. That's what I was telling you about, but well above average in the South. And let's go to 8 to 14. That continues in the South, well above average, and eventually it will warm back up in the Northeast beyond, say, 10 days. So that's why you got slightly above average here. However, if the European is correct, I would say maybe that cool down lasts a little bit longer. Near normal in the Pacific Northwest. About the only place that's near normal on this entire map. The rest of the country, yeah, above average. And I do agree with that. Slightly above average precipitation continues in the east. Below average out in the west. And that we definitely agree with. Below in South Texas, we agree with that as well. And then you get a large near normal area on 8 to 14 days. Below average in Nevada, below average in Texas. Above average continues in the Northeast and the East Coast in general. I think there's going to be a lot of instances where we have opportunities for flash flooding events. I think they're going to continue. These slow-moving fronts. It's just going to be a theme. And I should add one more thing today. There is a wild card. Remember that smoke that I showed you? Let's go back here. Remember this smoke right here? The wild card is, does that come into play in the East? Right now, I definitely think it's going to be an issue for Chicago, Detroit. We'll get to Pittsburgh, Philadelphia, New York, Buffalo. We'll have to watch. I'll keep you posted on that in the next update. If you like this update, give it a thumbs up. If you want to see more content like this, subscribe to my channel down below. And if you know anyone that needs to know this information, by all means, share it with your friends and family. The more people we prepare for the future weather, the better. Until I see you all again next time, have a great day, everyone.